I feel like there should be like, it's like, you know, you imagine like David Attenborough hunting through the wilderness of Summoner's Rift only to come across this deadly beast.
The elder god Sothon, wandering in its local domain in the Bod River.
The Amazon River is only half as wide as this truly extraordinary watercourse. Wherein it lies true danger. How extraordinary.
That's actually really good.
Thank you.
If you ever wonder what we practice in our spare time, it's actually not.
It's various impressions of accents of people.
It's not like, oh, how do I keep a narrative running through a cast? What am I doing in terms of my expectations? It's literally just, how do I pull off a David?
Yeah, how do I do a David Attenborough impression?
Anyway, so the very last thing, of course, I obviously cast him on that side. The important thing to cap this thing off about the LPL is that both of these games were Stars into Nar. Because you can have side lane thread onto that. You obviously get to steal the ultimate from the Gnar 2. Not only that, in this game, Hecarimult is one of the best stolen Silas ults you can have because it's ridiculous AP scaling.
I'm just saying, Hecarimult is great, but you can also steal Hostile Takeover.
True. I mean, I actually not sure. I mean, so the thing about that is that
you could have double Berserk where everybody's just turned into a wild rift and like of murdering each other. It becomes a mobile game out of nowhere.
Battle Royale, baby. I mean, it's just, yes, you can turn
only the strong will survive.
You ever hate your teammates that much after your scrims? Turn on them now.
We're just going to point this out as well. Remember, the Hostile Takeover Berserk only means you prioritize your own teammates. You still attack enemies afterwards.
As long as there's nothing else around.
Just changes the priority list in what you attack first. It's kind of like a really aggro taunt.
So this is something which Des was talking about. So Drop saying, actually prefer the Renata into the Thresh. I very much agree with this too, because effectively think of it as Nautilus is very good into enchants on the whole because he can fight you from level 1. If you get bush control, things get very dangerous. Now Thresh can with a lucky hook, but it's not quite the same. You don't have the follow-up route afterwards and stuff like that. So
not on your passive. It's on your second level.
Yeah, all of that stuff. So level 2, Thresh is more than happy to start engaging onto these longer range lanes, but a lot of the damage is already done by that point. You can see that they are being pushed in, lost a little bit of HP, and now Bastion and Nukes control this lane. They haven't had it wrangled away from them like we saw the Singularity bot lane have to in that last game versus the Nautilus, as we said, which is a bit of a more opportunistic matchup.
I also want to see how doable the combo of Fat Jam putting down a Caitlyn trap, one of those cupcakes,
right?
And then you get the handshake to drag it onto the trap.
That's true. That's actually really nasty.
It could be quite good fun.
It could be a bit of a Blue Peter experience. Like, here's a trap I prepared earlier. As looks like Kras is setting up one of the more metaphorical means in the mid lane, potentially trying to see if there was an angle for Tax to come in.
So, into this matchup out of interest, as I know you played a certain amount of Syndra back in the day as Tax.
I do, yeah.
Okay,
I play with Electrocute all the time because I like to burst people.
I had a feeling you might. But then again, we know your thoughts on things like
damage.
As Kex might be experiencing some damage, hops away, trying to buy some space, but no one's taken tower aggro yet. Flashes back under tower, flash forward from Taxa, trying to get the kill, but he's going to take another tower shot. Surely he's dead. The Triumph is not enough, and Taxa falls down.
So Kex gets a return kill. You do get XP for solo kills.
Double flashes as well.
And actually, because you do get quite a lot of XP for solo kills. Kex is going to be able to teleport back in to get some of that wave, but First Blood, of course, going over the side of Taxa first. Actually, interesting how that's going to work out in the grand scheme of things, particularly with that only partial wave being lost. But as you're saying, yeah, Taxa not able to get out from that play, and Taxa, as much as he has a reputation on this champion to make plays happen early, not quite as clean as they would have liked that.
Absolutely not. And of course, now I've got this chance again. I'm looking at that Syndra matchup in mid. As actually, never mind that. There's a massive engaging bot side as Taxa came out of absolutely nowhere. That was insane.
Okay, we
it landed into Sonic Wave, I think that was. Insane stuff to cover the half a screen of distance.
So Nuke's not even being able to flash during that play. So we're gonna go with a replay of this one. Yep. Flash on it, oh,
that's what it was.
That is
a flash to keep the redirect through. Great stuff from Wendell.
The only way you get away with that play is by just knowing the jungler's coming to your lane. And they didn't have the jungle tracking as much as they knew he had been on that top side. And Riddle, just kind of
any room to bait it. I think because literally Taxa came out of lane as that was
yeah, but you have to be headed to your lane first.
Yeah,
and just be aware that the lane's in a bad spot. But of course, they weren't in a position to do that, and they fell down.
Will cost Taxa a lot of his blue side jungle in trade, of course, because he was spotted in terms of where he went. They knew there was some respawn camps on the other side. So it does come at a certain cost there. but Slow Q going to be trying to trade out. It's Taxa all over the place in this game. Where has this early aggression been from Taxa on this champion over the earlier weeks when they were still in playoff contention? We were lamenting his passivity, his lack of playmaking. In this game, he's been doing everything he needs to do.
Just here.
Wendell is topside as well. Both players for Astralis putting Riddle in a very big early deficit
And
here.
Astralis, this team, need we remind you, is out of playoffs. Riddle are looking likely, at least, to be on the bottom side of the playoffs, the bottom end of it, just locking in that 6th spot, potentially able to contest for higher spots with Dusty and Veneer, and they will have to find some leads somewhere, potentially catching Crispberg, but not with this.
Will not land the handshake or the loyalty program. Chris Bird wants not to sign up to that particular newsletter, decides against the spam mail and backs away.
So, just to confirm as well, it was actually EDG that was playing the Silas top, and they played it versus BLG on the weekend.
That's quite a big win.
They did, of course, play the Silas top both times. And so that Silas top is just something that's fallen out of the meta quite a long time at this point. However, now you see the kill come down, the assist come down. I'm really interested to see what Carlson could do. Carlson with a lead on carry champions this split has been a revelation. First time, of course, on this champion, as we were so surprised to see it. As Taxa, Lee Sin might have a blindfold, might be blind, but does spot out that ward. And able to play around this bot side as the bot lane's pushing in, potentially looking towards a dragon angle.
Absolutely, and worth indeed keeping our eyes on. I had something and it's blanks. Never mind. I was saying keep your eyes on something. I'll leave it as a mystery because I can't remember either.
SoftBank Hawks because they have blank as well.
They do. Though that was an LJL reference I wasn't expecting.
Oh no, I've gone over my quota.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, yes, the T1 player is on the Hawks over in the LJL as trying to get hooked. Took a fair chunk there in trade. Not too much more to write home about right now, aside from the cleanse being down, but this is not a Caitlyn that's managed to dominate the lane, which is potentially a risk.
So, what does that mean, though? Because normally you expect Caitlyn and Syndra to really get advantages in their laning phase. Of course, Syndra versus Ryze is somewhat of a skill match. If you hit your Syndra Qs, you expect good things. If not, anyway, that's kind of beyond that point where it's more relevant at this point. Now we start to look at what can happen beyond this. Root not going to be...
Right.
Pulled through by Cress onto Slow Q, and now, okay, we have a Hecarim on one side, we've got a Renata on that same team. This is going to be a battle of dive and counter dive, but then when you do have the Silas who loves the flank angles, you've got a Realm Warp to set that up. Lee Sin obviously wanting to do that too. I look at what the Mega Gnar, potentially the Scatter of the Week, and then the Hostile Takeover can do for Riddle. If Astralis do not use their creative tools well to make sure that all of the disengage tools can be used optimally, or rather, not optimally as they would be looking to achieve with that, I think Astralis are going to be in trouble because there's too much for them to really contend with in the disengage front. However, with the early game that they've had and some gold going on some important members, I think they're going to be able to make Riddle sweat a little bit, and this playoffs team wanting to put the best foot forward, looking like they're in for a dangerous game.
Absolutely, and a reminder here, now that I remember what I want to talk about was, was that Riddle can still start trying to play for higher than a 6th place finish for playoffs. They need to win this game, and they need to win the game on Wednesday versus, I think it's JDXL they'll be playing on that one, which will be a big, big game there as well. But they are going to need Dusty and Veneer to probably drop games. Veneer in particular have a 0-2 head-to-head against Riddle. So if Veneer drop on the Wednesday and Riddle win today and on Wednesday, they can still push up the standings, but this is not a good start to that in this game.
Riddle must win both their games to have a chance, and at least Veneer must lose their remaining game. Now, of course, if Dusty also loses the remaining game, we get three-way weird stuff happening with that.
Exciting.
And we'll, you know what, we'll work that out if and when that happens. But Riddle, of course, that's the stakes for them. Astralis looking to play spoiler, and they have actually had a good crack at that in this early game. Taxa in particular has really come up and been counted for. However, Astralis have had good early games before, and they've struggled in the mid-game. They've went through a couple of iterations of either struggling in the mid-game and doing well early, or just kind of the opposite, where their early game was so dire, but their mid-game was looking okay, just they had to deal with the deficits after that point. Either way, let's see if they've fixed some of those holes in the hull See if they can get this ship at least a
little bit more right.
bit of a good last voyage in this split.
Yeah, a bit more seaworthy, if you will. And Taxa with the early herald, with the early kills, with the early proactivity. Again, I remind you, this guy is someone we have lamented. We have complained about his lack of proactivity. This is exactly what I want to see. Wraparounds in mid from Wendell, Chrisberg, and Taxa. That is such a dead Sahira. Oh, right, sorry. Slow Q. I need to say Sahira, but Vanir have already played. And they're looking on in delight here as Riddle may well be falling further away from contesting them in this series.
Hey, mid, can you play safe? What do you do against that? It's
Flash early, I suppose.
It's the double wraparound. You can see actually the bot lane walked over Vision to get there. MC was on their way. It's just timings didn't quite work out. He was stood between his two towers, and Taxa just kind of wins the battle of the reaction timing, and Slowq can't flash out. Gets CC'd into full 100-0.
Dragon Rage definitely does its due work there in the mid lane. Kex getting rooted up as the Mega Gnar ends. Cress over the wall could maybe look for a root. Landing the overload would be a good start, but they decide against it right now. MC's going to come around, and the Gold League continue to expand right now for Astralis, who've managed to push it up to about 2,000 here in the early game, doing very well right now.
You know what? This is actually got to feel pretty good for Carlson, because for those of you that didn't watch the first matchup between these two teams, Kex
It was brutal.
Ruined Carlson.
It was just disgusting.
Renekton versus Set, and it was something like a 5-kill Renekton Carlson put absolutely into the dumpster. But this time, you know, Carlson, while they have that CS deficit, very happy with the matchup, pushing down some plates. Kex maybe not achieving as much to keep this carry down, and if Silas gets rolling in this game, Riddle are not very happy. So yeah, I think actually compared to their first matchup, which was of course a number of weeks ago at this point, Astralis getting themselves much more firmly on the board.
Perhaps a little too late though for this squad. Now the pressure is off the playoffs. Suddenly they look a little bit more coherent, a little bit more proactive. And Riddle, still not out of this game, still pretty happy with the scaling options they've got. Renata, Hecarim, Caitlyn as well. Once you hit about 3 items, very dangerous champions in their own right. But they haven't been able to make too much use of their early spikes. The Hecarim not really pulled off an ultimate yet that I've seen either. And that could come back to bite them as yet as well. They've got an early dragon. I don't think they're really going to be in a position to contest right now as the river control being dealt with by Astralis. Wendell stepping through to clear out as much as he can ahead of these Drakes.
And you actually, you know, you look at these mid laners, or at least I do, because I am a mid laner. What a surprise how I do that. But we are getting to the point where they have teleports. It's coming up to 14 minutes, and they're champions which want to start getting evolved once they get that first item, they get that second item. And gonna have to see how the teams will then react to making plays with the extra global coming out in force. Slow Q, once again forced back under that tower, and this bit time being a lot more respectful.
Yes, he is, and one wraparound gank was enough for this play. He wants nothing to do with any more of these. First turret does get destroyed in mid lane. That expands the gold lead even further. And Riddle, I haven't seen them pull off anything proactive pretty much this entire game, it feels like.
Well, this is kind of the problem with having Syndra having to be forced to play it back. The Silas getting early help to swing the matchup around, and then having a Hecarim who needs to play off of some winning lanes. Of course, Hecarim early into the game can't fly. Once you get that level 6, you're more than happy to start taking on some 2v2s. It felt like the damage was done by Tax's run around, drive-by of the entire map going into every lane, especially with Wendell helping out with that regard too.
Turret plate's just fallen. Mid-game commences. MC's in the bot lane, but he's on Vision. That feels a little bit of an apt description of how this game thus far has gone for the Riddle team. MC, one of those players that seems to have all the impact or none of it, it feels.
Interesting thing here, by the way. So, you saw that Chrisberg that was sat on Calibrum and Graviton.
Yes.
So, this is a pop quiz. I believe it was posed by, I'm trying to remember who
Jack Spectra.
Jack Spectra.
I saw this particular
like because actually a lot of what Aphelios does is about his weapon management, and we'll see if it comes into it. It's a slow game, but now you see what's happened here. You're now stuck on the Gravitum and the Crescendum. If you actually if you use up the green gun first, if you use up Calibrum, then you can start cycling around. So you're going to have actually Crescendum into Severum, then Crescendum into Calibrum on your next rotation. So you can kind of fix your weapon rotation if you use up the Calibrum first. So let's see how, if that comes to bear, whether we'll see Chrisberg with good weapons for the next big fights.
To clarify, the combos you tend to look for are Calibrum Crescendum, Severum Crescendum tend to be the really good combos. And honestly, Graviton plus Infernum's not bad either if you want big wombo ults. But
Well, that
it's
gives
not
you
the best
option in fights,
exactly.
right? It just means
but it's not the
big
same
ults
damage
are
output.
nice. Yeah. On the whole, you just want to be sat on Crescendum with a good weapon for it most of the time. As you can see here, again, cycle through into that Severance. You have one of your better combos. And actually, one of the really cool things with this is that, actually, my favorite pre-6 combo for a fellow is where you go from the Infernum into your Severum with the Crescendum, because you just get so many chakrams with everything.
Push danger, but does avoid the death sentence. A little bit of contesting going on in this blue side jungle, and now Astralis doesn't want to bother. It's going to force a flash of Berserk coming through to 3 as a result of that hostile takeover, but just doesn't do a lot at this point in the game.
It's like a slower, more gaseous Maokai.
Is it gaseous or gaseous?
You know what? I haven't said that word in a while.
It's one of those things I feel like I don't say out loud.
Yeah,
I see it written. There you go. Questions of the English language.
If you say it with confidence, it's probably better than anything else you could do.
That's exactly Nymeria.
Oh, shut up, you.
Nima era.
Oh, not this again.
Confident, I'm pretty sure that's right. The era of Nim, and it is here.
Freedom on my name, and this is how you use it.
Niwaya.
That just sounds like you've, like... Have you had, like, a numbing agent put on your tongue at that point? Have you taken anesthetics midway through, okay? Don't you dare say that anesthetic is another way you can say my name.
I know aesthetic. I don't know. Like, there's some way around this. No, I'm just numb to the pain of casting with you.
Okay,
got him. As no, my Kex may be looking for some anesthetic himself. As Cress does realm walk to the top side, a massive hijacked Gnarlt. Throws the mini Gnar into the wall. MC's going to try and turn it around, but it's going to be the teleports behind as well to make this a bit more of an even fight. Devastating charge runs Silas down. Tax are now in a dangerous position as the unstoppable, well, the onslaught of shadows rather came through afterwards as the, I forget what the name of Unleashed Power. There we go. Syndra trying best to do what they can as MC.
Oh my word.
My God.
Oh,
surely not. Surely not. Astralis, you can't give a quadra kill over. I was in the middle of stumbling over ability name while MC runs over the whole damn team.
Oh, and we've seen what Hekrams do with leads before. You know what? He's picked himself up a Sundra, going straight back into the replay. We did talk about, okay, these solo laners, they want to start getting involved. These mid laners haven't managed to get out to a lot of players before. It's a realm up, not the teleport from the Rise, but later on we do see the Syndra join the fray. But during all of this, it's a Conqueror onto the Hecarim who has a Sunder at this point. If you're not shutting down this pony, get ready to get absolutely trampled on by those hooves. And again, the Hecarim does serious damage. They're level 11 at this point. They have a serious item spike, and you don't respect MC, and MC, well, makes him pay for it.
It really does, and this was after I literally just said, look, he's not managed to get anything done, it's feeling a bit done, but Astralis mid-games!
Legitimately.
4-0-0, second Herald in inventory, and now you have a win condition, Divine Sunderer on this champion as well. No Chemtank, he's going to build the damage, knowing where he's at in this game as well. Luden's complete for slow Q, and suddenly the game back to only 2,000 or so apart. Less than that, more like 1,500. And Riddle, with their spiking composition in the mid game, can look to punish Astralis' over-aggression in the top side.
And, sadly not the first time that Astralis have overchased for some of their plays. And again, it's a team that has struggled in various iterations with trying to make plays in the first place. And this is, of course, one of the last two games of this split to show something to build on between spring and summer. Reminder, this is, of course, an LEC Academy, this is one of the big players you assume in the ERLs, and they've struggled to get things working in this split. Luckily, they do have some time to develop, and they hopefully have the resources to put towards that too. But Riddle trying to overcome that early game deficit and doing an admirable job after what we saw of those early plays.
Riddle going to be able to nail a turret in the top side, add that to their tally. First turret of the game for them, taken out. That's great news for them. They've got Herald in the bot lane. That's not actually going to be able to charge, though, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. Either way, that will be prevented from Astralis. I guess it was running out of time, would be my guess, but they do now have a win condition, Riddle, which we were struggling for. Only 5 minutes ago. That Hecarim can absolutely lead the charge and probably end it afterwards as well.
2 items this early into the game. 2 items before their solo laners. Yes, it's a force of nature as well, which is an item which was incredibly strong. It's been through a couple of changes.
Still
it's
pretty good into double AP.
You've got double AP solo laners. And if you have another extended fight with a Conqueror, with the force of nature stacking up, so you take 20% reduced magic damage, you are in such an important spot. Taxa
Has to
charged out of the
flash
lantern.
Does have to be flash away after being charged out, and that was now a very dark river to walk into. Watch for hostile takeovers, watch for scatter the weaks, watch for an onslaught of shadows. Where is Silas? What ultimates has he stolen? He's teleporting in. What is he going to hijack is the question. It is an onslaught of shadows. That's a big stun though on the other side as Wendell taken out. Very low, so the ace in the hole not blocked. Also, the Shadows in turn gets a flea, but not a huge amount more. Moonlight Vigil gets some chakram stack for Chrisberg. The turnaround from MC is pretty good. That is a huge hostile take over. Chrisberg turns his chakrams on his own team, but he gets enough damage back to make the kill onto MC happen alongside the shutdown, but it does leave Carlson out to dry. Wendell taken so low by the boulder of Kex in his last moments of Mega Gnar. That last boomerang will claim a 3rd kill. Riddle get the dragon, and they are absolutely coming back into this game. The gold lead all but gone for Astralis.
Astralis, they understood the assignment, or at least Carlson did. You want to get a flank somewhere. You want to stop Riddle fighting front to back, but Fatachan, with the quick fingers, getting away and flashing over that Hecarim ult is pretty hard to do. That's a pretty nasty hitbox on that ability, but turns out so is Renata ult, at least when you stood in the waiting arms of it. Both of the smites go down as they both go for their dives, and it looks like you want to say something to that?
Really do, because Chrisberg got feared by the onslaught of shadows just after his Moonlight Vigil came through, so his chakrams timed out. He then gets hijacked to turn his chakrams onto his own teammates. So he spends about 3 to 4 seconds of that either losing his chakrams or attacking his own teammates. Like, that's just like, that's what he's like. He's set up to succeed, and no, he's not.
And that did seem like the difference of 2 Hecarim ultimates.
Okay.
Oh, Mega Gnar's up here, though.
I'm with you up, especially if after you miss a Sonic Wave, and Kex just Mega Gnar's people away. They'll Realm Warp in. But it's only Realm Warping Taxa forwards. Nukes is around. Has got himself, I believe that was a locket to buy some space. And they're just going to get out. Realm Warp was popped. Kick is popped. And they just don't have the damage to kill Kex.
And it's the handshake, no thank you very much. And yes, you're right, it was the Shrelia.
I said, like, that looks a speed up, not
a support buff the items.
Yes.
It's either a shield or a speed up. Take your guess. Either of them have the gold-like animation. And struck gold with that play on top side. Carlson now trying to go on a side lane. You try to do that
MC.
as a Fed.
Here we go.
Fed Silas, but maybe not onto MC.
Carlson will have a teleport to support Slow Q now in a spot of bother himself. What can they do to turn this around? Carlson takes a lot of damage. These unleashed power chunks Carlson out pretty low. Slow Q also chunked though. And MC trying to get with press. Here comes Chrisberg and Taxa. They might be punished. No, just another Sonic Wave misses, but a Flash Rune Prison will keep the mid laner locked down. MC is going to be taken out as well, and he is hobbled and deleted in the side lane. And they punish the overextension from Riddle on the opposite side.
How do 5 members of Astralis get to the bot lane without Riddle managing to find some kind of support? They choose to hard commit towards that cross map, but what do they get for it? They don't get themselves a mid lane out of turret. They don't get themselves much for it.
And they're going to move away. Not much more to be said. And that's a couple kills going over to Astralis, who managed to right the ship a little bit after there were some holes in it. Especially after we said Riddle had to fix their own ship earlier in the game. Nautical references abound.
Yeah, and the person who really does well on that front is Carlson, because Carlson, we said, look, Fed Silas wants to side lane. They have those 2 items, the Cosmic Drive, very much helping in terms of giving you the ability haste to get multiple rounds of Kingslayer, and of course the mobility of the Absconder Duct. And Riddle, they just could not shut them down. Very timely teleport from Crescent. We were already talking, you know, that once we had like a little bit more of a sleeper early game, look, we're going to see these mid laners getting out to these fights with their teleports. They want to get involved.
Carlson just hanging over the wall, working to see if he can time out the Mega Gnar before going into this. Will be about to fall, and just going to be here to collect this wave, prevent an easy opportunity to take this tower. Everfrost goes wide, but instead, Absconder Duck going to try and get onto Kex, got the Conqueror stack, but actually he's losing the trade. There's a Hull Breaker. Stolen Mega Gnar, but it's not enough damage, and that, in fact, as the stopwatch pops, the boomerang comes out, will quite go wide. Carlson gets away, but needs to be aware of a hop, needs to be aware of a flash. Oh, what was that? You can't miss that! And does get out alive, but Kex fumbling in the solo kill execution there.
Oh, he gets the boot. I think he flashed a little too late. Boomerang fires out from his initial position.
Boomerang.
Ouch. Well.
Yeah, Kex is actually quite young, so I'm not sure that's entirely fair, but there we go. Makes an unfortunate play. Chrisberg and Wendell coming down, though. One chain
I'm
warden.
so angry, I'm going to kill a turret instead.
Silas is free from his chain, but the chain warden's coming down. 2 chains, you might say, and it'll be the second attempt to try and kill off Kex. Gravita Moonlight Visual Land after a flay forwards that allows Kex to be pulled back. Binding Eclipse locks him down. Dodge sidestep the death sentence, though. He's going to be able to throw out the boomerang. Teleport's coming through. There's a lantern to get Chrisberg out of safety. MC's coming down alongside with Fadichan. He's got Ghost Pod. He's got a devastating charge. He's got an Onslaught of Shadows fleeing into the waning arms of Slowq, who scatters him and proves he is, in fact, too weak to stand. Unleashes the power. Caitlyn is shut down elsewhere, though, as Crest gets a hold of him. And a teleport number 2 come through. Stolen Onslaught of Shadows isn't used yet, but could be used to turn around a play. Demolish alongside Kex with the Hull Breaker will allow a big chunk onto this tier 2 in the bot lane. And we need to see whether anything more is happening yet.
Did we change feeds onto a solo queue game? Is this my flex queue? I'm not sure. The macro is making me very scared, Sam.
But it's not still going! It's another one, but he gets Everfrosted in place! He gets destroyed as the Scatter the Weak lands again! It's 100% concentrated force of will from Slowq, who makes a Fort Minor reference at this day and age, but it's not going to matter as they get the kill. They punish the overchase and they'll move back towards the dragon to secure soul points.
Now, I'm not necessarily a Margarine fan, but I'm going to take some inspiration from it. I can't believe it's not solo queue.
That is true. We've actually got a little bit of screen phrase going on here, so I can't believe
I think
this
what
game
we've
is
shown on the screen has been so
traumatizing.
So traumatizing. We're actually not allowed to see what happens there. Hi,
back.
you'll have something even more traumatizing. Us.
I know. What do you mean traumatizing? I'm great. I am like wholesome and lovely and great to have on screen. Don't do this to me. This is what you have to deal with. This is my younger brother. I'm supposed to be the one teasing you. This is the way that works. That's like a contract.
Well, yeah, you know, we had a contract dispute last time. We changed out some clauses.
Look, but I like just because Renata's in the game doesn't mean you have to put like a hostile takeover on the desk as well. I will shove you off.
Why do you think we've seen so much R in the NLC? It's all me. It's all me and my contract disputes. I was like, they must play an amount.
I'm fairly sure it's more like Goldberg. Let's be real. He's the Renata aficionado.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Ari thing, though.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it's like, why do you think you see so much of it?
I think I heard Renata, not Ari. Attention, sorry about that.
If we're going to go talk about that Renata, though, what are you making of it in this game yourself? Or do we not have time to speak about
I will explain that in a second because I have got confirmation from production before I do discuss that one that this is happening because, this pause specifically is happening because one of the players is disconnected. We're sorting that out. Very reasonable reason to be pausing the game as it stands. As for Renata, because we have got a little bit of time to discuss, it's been interesting. I think early on, the early hostile takeovers didn't feel like they did that much, but now it's getting a little bit later. You're getting to see some of the value of the Blood Boil equivalents. And honestly, MC getting that quadra kill, perhaps more important right now, because he gets to go in, slow down the fear. It allows a setup for an easy hostile takeover, because it's not the fastest moving ultimate. And you can see the chain layering of that kind of CC. It's pretty devastating. It reminds me a little bit of the old school Seraphine Hecarim combos.
Sure, a little bit. And I mean, the thing for me about the Renata ults, that it feels like it doesn't win you a fight unless it's hyper late game. It feels like it is an incredibly well scaling ult, because, I mean, you scale off your enemy team's damage effectively at that point. But what it does do, again, it's almost like a zoning tool, like a Maokai ult for me. It's halfway between the Seraphine, halfway between that and the Maokai. And I do think that we've seen the better end of it in terms of the laning phase, at least in this game. But you can see how much variability there is. This is not a solved champion yet.
No, it is not very new. We've had 3 games in a row of it, though, so we're going to see a little bit more data, I suppose, to dissect and work out how it's going to work.
Oh, if only
we had a replay to maybe do exactly that. Oh, if only we had that.
Incredible.
Thank you, production. It's coming, apparently. In fact, what do you know? There it is. This was
are we just shaming Kex for this? Because I know that, because Kex did so well in this individual matchup last time they played. Kex, I mean, you don't have one in Mininar, and he's trying to go for the Q flash, and he don't be doing it.
Boomerang comes back a little too early there, one might say.
It's like, you know the song, My Boomerang Won't Come Back?
I do remember that was my childhood.
Boomerang came back, but I didn't want it to.
I didn't want that to come back that early, and then Chris Bergman
lesser known song.
And at this point, you can hear the Benny Hill theme start. Roll up. Tickets are being sold to the largest circus on Earth. What on earth was occurring? The solo queue vibes, slow queue besides, of course, with the name being kind of similar. Kex with great footwork, don't get me wrong, but this was a game of inches and slight misexecutions from both sides.
It does feel like that is the definition of task failed successfully.
Yes.
Doesn't get the solo kill, still somehow miraculously survives.
Yeah.
As you said, as much as we could focus on the Renata, honestly, it's the Hecarim being such a problematic champion when they get ahead, regardless of the build, of course. I mean, I think that the tank Hecarim is one which is one I prefer to see a lot in terms of the raw power of it, because you cannot remove that champion from your backline once he gets on there. Carry on.
I can do that. What do you want to carry on about? There's a question.
I thought
give me
I
a
thought,
topic.
see, the thing is this, Sam. I have this innate trust in you to say, oh, I'm going to cut in because I've got something important to say. I thought it was an update from production.
No, none of that. If I would have actually cut in a lot harder than that. Sorry about that, mate. I thought you were just done, personally.
Okay, well, that tells you a lot about iDynamic. He's just like, oh, you know what? He's taking a small break. Sure, he's done with anything of value at that point.
I mean, you are. Come on, let's be real.
That's what I have to deal with.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, that's the one. Cool. Show off. So, of course,
Literally.
back in your lane, buddy. But I mean, stopping in the middle of this game again, because we've kind of broken down some of the individual players, talked about some of the champions. If we bring back to the meaning of what this game means, though, of course, the meaning of the meaning.
We'll just have to wait for a second, because I did get an update from production.
Seriously.
It's still ongoing. We're going to have to wait a bit longer, so now you can keep going.
Why would you do this? Okay, right, back to
But that
what
reaction
this game
right there.
means, Sam.
What does it mean? Is the answer 42?
Riddle are in this game to prove that they can go far in playoffs in a lot of ways, actually. It's one of their last couple of games, and we knew that after the games that Dusty and Veneer showed earlier, they'd have to put on a hell of a performance. Now, they have had some good moments, but they haven't been able to string a lot of them together. And as much as this mid-game has been more in their favor, I worry about what the heck happened in that early game to come around to this kind of game.
Yeah, and this has always been our issue with Riddle. They have managed to win games that they weren't playing especially well in, I think it's fair to say. But they've had some good clutch plays.
Yeah, they've had to effectively create hero plays to get themselves back on the board. But the fact that they have to make hero plays is a problem.
Yeah, you should be a last resort rather than a consistent...
How many objectives does MC got to steal for you?
Well, he is the Prince of Thieves. This play has stolen more objectives than literally anybody else in the league right now. And he kind of steals away a bit of a lead from Astralis in this one as well, just steals some lives on the Hecarim, which I suppose is kind of appropriate.
Magi's Hecarim, let's go.
Magi's Hecarim. I mean, AP Hecarim would only work with a W.
It was briefly a thing, you know. It was terrifying.
Why was that a thing? Was it just W being...
Well, W at all, just being hilarious.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Just like AP Jax.
Aura of Dread.
Gunblade, Lichbane, Jax was the thing, you know.
Boy.
And apparently Lichbane Ari, but Power of Evil never do that to me again. It hurt. Well, actually, it didn't hurt because you can't do that.
We're onto the Rift.
Onto the Rift!
We're onto the Rift!
Onto the Rift!
I didn't actually bait in this time with the update. I enjoy making my brother sweat because I'm potentially a bad human being. Riddle did secure themselves Soul Point. A reminder of what happened in this game. Or rather, before the pause.
Last time on NLC.
Game 5 of day 1, week 9, the final week, and it was Riddle that came back in an important bot lane skirmish that led to the Soul Point being secured.
First, that was so
that?
dramatic that I was like, I'll do a one-liner.
The world threatened by Hecarim ultimates. One man stands against him. Two of them. Okay, you know what?
They're stealing him.
One man, Carlson, can steal it away.
The thing about the stolen Hecarim ults and blah, blah, blah is that I often have names for the stolen ults. Like, my favorite one is when you steal Ivan's Daisy, it becomes Peach.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's inspired. Never mind, Realm War.
Hex doesn't have an ultimate because he's mini-nar right now.
It's a Realm apart. It's not quite Final Fantasy, but it might be a final kill that would secure a Baron for Astralis, getting a massive pick-off on the top lane. A Hullbreaker not enough. Meganar not near enough. And that means Astralis, despite the play in bot side, could still look to go towards Baron. It will be a 4v5, and they're willing to try and take this one out. Remember, if you ult as Renata, you can make sure that the Baron is stolen by you if it's an enemy team member.
MC's hooked.
MC gets hooked on Sword of Shadows anyway. It's a massive 5-man fear. The on big berserk as a result of the hostile takeover will force Carlson to back away. Does have the teleport to come back in though. Baron down to 5,000 HP. I think it's in the hole coming through as well. Has to back out as he gets rooted. Loyalty program.
How does MC get into the pit now? He doesn't have the ult. He has
no ghost.
It doesn't even have the ghost.
Carlson on the
so
flag.
Difficult to play out this fight.
Get thrown away by the handshake. Taxa misses the Sonic Wave down to 2,000 HP. Will not be able to use it on the Baron quite yet. Shut down onto slow Q into the backside. Will not secure the Baron. The MasterCard Baron power play goes the way of Astralis, and this fight is theirs. Nukes avoids the abscond abduct, but has nowhere to run. Your business is done for, shut down by Silas.
Might be the Prince of Thieves, but looks like we've got ourselves a bit of a revolution amongst the monarchy. MC not able to get in towards that Baron pit, and this is straight after the pause. Astralis explode through top lane, decisively go towards the Baron, and they find a way to absolutely turn this game on its head. They were losing all of these confrontations, losing all of the grouped up fights, but this time they pull the trigger, get the numbers advantage, get themselves a real back-breaking advantage.
Yes, they do. Gold lead now back in their favor. They've still got to worry about this Mountain Drake in 2.5 minutes. What can they get done on the map in this meantime, though? They've got some decent split pushes. It's late enough in the game that items are beginning to be completed at some very dangerous points. That will be the disconnect that was problematic earlier. Of course, that has now been resolved, hence this brief podcast segment where me and Alex bickered for about 5 minutes straight. Welcome to having siblings on broadcast. And Riddle now on the back foot after taking what was a pretty significant fight that seemed to swing the game more firmly in their command.
And you have to look back at that fight and honestly praise Astralis for making this game so competitive and so compelling in a game where they have nothing to play for. They're out of playoffs. This is a confidence game. Maybe looking forward to future development. Riddle
not getting baited by this turret. It's been the bane of so many teams
don't be diving that turret. This one has been...
it can't hurt us anymore.
This is an NLC landmark at this point. It's part of our fabric, part of our history.
Teleport. It's time.
Riddle are looking for the
They don't want to go
Mega-Gnar.
quietly. They want to try and trade. It is going to be a Mega-Gnar. Half the bar left. Has got a blast gun. Could try and get in behind. Stepping forward towards Astralis. Has got flash as well. Will force the turret down, though. Over the wall. He crunches. But that will be the end of the shove. Just an inhibitor turret that falls. No inhibitors themselves, though.
But with that, that is the end of the Baron buff for this point. They're not going to be able to push in for much more. They might be able to just get one more wave shoved in that mid lane, but this isn't going to perfectly overlap with the Dragon. That's the big thing, right? Riddle didn't go for a game-losing play at that point. They can get rid of that Baron buff. Sadly, this does mean for the side of Riddle, you have to deal with all of that gold now being spent, being reset for. But it's not like Riddle don't have their own item completions to work with.
Key summoners down on Fadachan and Nukes. Neither the Renata or the Caitlyn able to use that key summoner. Big items, though, are complete. Look at the mid lane. Cress got a Gargoyle Stoneblade as his fourth item.
Tanky.
Big deal right now. Of course, Kex just completed his third, but there's no Infinity Edge right now for Fatachan compared to an Infinity Edge for Chrisberg. This is some dangerous points that Riddle just can't actually compete at. I wonder whether they just give this one up and wait for a third item on their AD carry.
It's an option, but you have to look at so many damage threats and the way that the fights have been going. They might be emboldened to try and just outplay their way through this because they do want to take grouped up fights. They want to use that ultimate. Carlson's found a flank. That's the MO of this composition.
Oh, death
sentence!
Oh. It's so true. Has got a bailout, but he does get the kill. He'll stay alive just for that, but the Ignite will bring him down again. The fight continues. Onslaught of Shadows is doing some work, but look at Chrisberg doing so much work. Kex, though, still alive. Carlson has to flash away. Abscond Abduct goes wide. That's a realm forward to bring Chrisberg forwards, and that could be just stunned under tower, though. Red gun's not enough. Charge through. Double kill will secure MC, but now Cress dueling it out with the top laner. Teleport coming back in for Carlson, who still has that summoner available, and it is a one-team fight for Astralis, but it came so very, very close.
And maybe you're right in saying, Riddle, maybe you don't want to take this one. Maybe get yourself to another item after this point, but they do go towards the fight. Kex has a flash. He doesn't have any Mega-Gnar bar.
He's
going against the two solo laners.
Voids away from the Everfrost, can still keep trading. Looking to steal, there's no smite, remember, so he could definitely lose to steal. Lots of damage on the Crest, he gets rooted in place. Mega-Gnar's coming up very soon. Gonna get rooted down, flashing away, Chain Lash! And a final spell flux makes Crest a legend in the NLC.
Carlson gets into the fight yet again. This Silas has been critical. Look at the angle, he finds again. It's comboed up with Wandel, but without Carlson there to follow up, this fight could have gone so badly with a reset on that, on the bailout. They do, of course, Astralis go very, very deep into a Hecarim and into the Mega-Gnar, but Chrisberg is not caught in with it. You are right to call him out in the middle of that fight and say, oh my gosh, Chrisberg is doing damage untouched, able to get so much work done. Of course, the Realm Walk into the CC. Aggro taken. It means that the AD carry can't survive beyond that point. That might have even been an inhibitor, might have even been game-ending push. Riddle lived to survive limping away from that.
Still, game's still very close. They're still at soul point. Down now 6,000 gold, but it's late enough into the game that makes significantly less difference. Fatachan does now have an infinity edge that wasn't there in that previous fight. They're going to be inches away from a death cap on slow Q, which will also be a very big spike. Reminder, of course, that Cress doesn't really have a lot of MR, and he would be very heavily chunked out by something like that. Gargoyle Stone Plate, even that considered.
That is true. I mean, he does have the Force of Nature, which helps.
True.
Actually, Force of Nature actually does give him some ability to play around that, so keeping champs on that one. But either way, as much as you can talk about the Rise being a front line, Astralis don't want to be playing around a front line. They want to be on the flank. We've said that the whole game, and Carlson has been the one to make that interesting so far. That's Infernum.
Ooh. Fair amount of damage. Cress is still on the flank. Look at that bottom right of your screen.
Looking for it again. They're trying to flank Yeg again, and Riddle don't have the vision.
Got stunned. The box is done. He's taken very low. Kex has got Mega. He's going to be coming to the backside. That's the Onslaught of Shadows. Gets a flea onto 2. Big Mega Nor on a Grisberg. He's dead. Slow Q takes him out. The weak gets scattered again. Fatachan still alive. Kex gets Mega. He's in the hole. Secures Wendell, the Chain Warden, stuck in his own prison. Double for Fatachan. Slow Q over the wall, throwing out Dark Sphere after Dark Sphere. The Sovereign of Ionia, this mighty mage doing so much work as Fatachan claims another. The long arm, the long gun of the law, securing enough kills, and this will be Baron as well. Fight goes one way, fight goes the other, and this time it's Riddle coming out on top.
How do Riddle keep finding hero plays? They find themselves in another difficult, drawn-out late-game situation, but they turn the fight in another time where they do have a flank, threatening their backline. Gonna go see, of course, how this all happens, and Crisberg grabs him with that Gale Force forwards, looks for the kill onto the AD carry, but he's the one that's overstepped their bounds. The last fight, he goes untouched for so long. This time he hits the ground so quickly. Inside of that, the Realm Warp to try and follow on the fight isn't enough to get Cress into a good position, and numbers start falling left, right, and center, and somehow, some way, Riddle get out with everyone alive.
They do. Big kills coming through. Big
Absolutely
Baron take.
ridiculous. How does it?
And
I just don't.
Got to call it out. Crisberg again with an overstep in critical team fights when he's looking to be aggressive. He has not across this season chosen his moments to go forward aggressively well. It's been a problem, and this kind of situation, in this critical situation, the late game scenario, comes to punish him again. That Gale Force, too aggressive.
It's another chapter in the saga of Astralis and trying to address the problems this team has had in a game, which means, again, keep saying it, very little to them. They're making this game close. And
oh, no! Scatter the weak! Slow Q is anything but slow with the fingers there. They get the kill, and they've got both bot laners down. Now with the Baron and the 2-man advantage, they can start to shove through mid, and I think that's it. Riddle will move to 9 and 8 surely here.
They're looking for the death blow, taking down turrets, going forward with the Baron buff with numbers advantage. Astralis, there's no flank to be had. You gotta fight him up front and center.
What can Taxa, Carlson, and Cress do? The kick does some work. Slow Q goes golden, but rooted in place, pulled back by the handshake. The stolen onslaught of shadows does allow one to go down, but it's going to be too late. Fatachan picks up one more. Cress being run back to the fountain. Kex throwing boomerang after boomerang to try and secure more, and yes, he'll stay alive, but his Nexus will not. Riddle move to 9 and 8.
It has been an absurd day of League of Legends.